to another edition of Ask Michael Ehline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. Yeah, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Give me a bunch of OTVOs, everybody. How you guys doing today? Happy Monday. Having a super duper, actually it's a happy Tuesday, but for me it's kind of a Monday because every day is sort of like Sunday for me because I work every day, so I don't even know what's going on out there. But anyways, we're going to have a good talk today. We're going to go over some things that we've gone over before, and as part of my promise, now that I have some actual paying members, my wife is super happy. So I'm going to start teaching the law, and we're going to start with solicitation because it's something that so many of you people are having so much trouble with because you listen to too many of these online legal experts who, I guess, got their degree online or something and watched a bunch of videos and have a bunch of followers. So I guess that makes them special. But we're going to learn some things tonight that'll actually help you in case you actually have a legal problem. And the first thing we're going to learn about is the inchoate crime of solicitation. And then we're going to talk about the general intent crime of trespass. And we're going to talk about the differences between criminal and civil trespass so you can get a base understanding of what's going on here. But the problem is the auditor community, the cop watcher community, they have a lot of misconceptions, a lot of them, about what soliciting a trespass is. And so they automatically dismiss anything you say is, oh, that's impossible. It's impossible, especially for the police to solicit a trespass. And so I will say at the outset, it's very rare that the police would be in a position where they could solicit a trespass, but I did give you a plausible example of one in a few videos back where this woman told the police that she allegedly lived in this house. And so one of the female police officers encouraged and provoked the woman into kicking in the door, I guess, of her ex-boyfriend's home. Then the police went inside and tasered the boyfriend. Well, that clearly could be deemed a solicitation of an illegal and criminal trespass because the officers were encouraging the woman with also state authority, the presence of state authority, to give the appearance, a color of law, that she had the right to do that. So they kicked in this guy's door. So that was an example of where a police officer could solicit a criminal trespass. But we'll get in so you can understand the definitions and all that. But first, I want to thank everyone for showing up. Pretend Activist, thanks for showing up. Thanks to Wu to Shah and Mama Lion, Jody Shiloh, Ima, and all of the frauder people who don't have chili, so now they apparently need me to make fun of. And then Brennan Metzger, thank you so much for coming. Let's OTVO. Yeah, give me a bunch of OTVOs and a bunch of ones for chili. Sorry about the sound problem the other day. Apparently, whenever I move this stupid microphone, even by barely touching it, it goes on mute. So I'm trying to be real careful not to touch it. But give me a bunch of ones if you can hear me so far. Now, also, I want you guys, so although we're talking about crimes right now, I don't see any problem jumping around from crimes to torts to defamation as it may be, depending on what you guys want to know about. So I put in a poll for my paid subscribers of things that they want to learn first. And of course, I'll try to show examples and case law and things like that so you can get a better idea. But tonight we're going to do the solicitation thing and try to put that to rest once and for all. But tomorrow night, I'd like to get into some tort law, basic civil tort law, because it's something that you have to know about if you ever do plan on suing a bad cop or a bad administrative agent, for example. So I'd like to do that, but I'd like to hear from our members, the paid ones at least, and the non-paid subscribers too. It's just the people that have skin in the game that they're actually buying me time to do this. And also, I should have my book available online probably by tomorrow or the next day. That'll be something cool for you guys to read about how I was able to become a lawyer without law school or a law degree. And then it goes into the other states that offer similar programs, because not everybody lives in California now. I mean, California's lost over 500,000 people in the last couple of years. Nobody wants Gavin Newsom as their governor, apparently. So it's the way it goes, guys. The way it goes. Get that tie squared away. All right. So let's get into it a little bit. Got everybody down there. Rick Jonesy, thanks for coming. So let's get into it. So this is really cool. I've been using Microsoft a lot more. I don't know about you guys. I don't really like Bill Gates or anything, but I think that Microsoft is serving up far superior results to Google now. And I'm really happy with that. I'm hoping that X will come up with their own search engine so we can get off of these two commie search engines. Give me a bunch of ones if you think we need a non-commie search engine that doesn't hold water for the WHO and all these billion-dollar corporations. Let's see it. Give me a bunch of ones. All right. So, solicitation is an inchoate crime. So, let's just get into what that is really quick, because I want you guys to know what the heck all this stuff means. And so basically it's a type of crime that is committed, and all you're doing is taking a step towards the commission of an offense. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to carry it out. So a big one, a lot of the common law solicitation crimes, the popular ones like soliciting a prostitute, have been codified into state statutes. It's one of the three big ones in Nevada, for example, soliciting a prostitute. So you don't even have to commit the crime. It's just the mere act of offering the hooker a couple of bucks, or even telling another person, here's a couple bucks, why don't you go and hit that girl up? You just solicited that person to commit a crime. Whereas if you directly solicit a prostitute, you're soliciting her to commit a crime, which is prostitution. So that's solicitation in a nutshell. It's an inchoate crime, which basically means that you don't even have to commit the crime. It's just the act of encouraging someone, in this case, to commit a crime. So hopefully you're following me so far. Hopefully, some of your brains aren't so fried from watching all these goofy videos that you'll listen to what I'm saying and start learning the law. All right. So then you can make your own trifold, a better one. And always improve it, because as the law changes, you want to update it. But anyways, that's what an inchoate crime is. Do you guys understand that so far? Give me a bunch of ones if you understand what an inchoate crime is. Let's take a look here in the sidebar. So, okay, I got a bunch of ones. Oh, good night, Michael. Yes, say hi, everybody, to Xiomara Pacheco. She's in Venezuela, living under communism. Give her a bunch of ones to I guess, commiserate with her for having to live in such a terrible place, such a beautiful country, and such terrible rulers. And they really are rulers, because the people there don't have any individual rights or freedom. And we're teetering towards that. We don't be careful, guys. So now let's get into this. Mama Lion, yeah. All right. So basically, that's what solicitation is. Solicitation is a crime that merely involves asking someone or encouraging someone to engage in some kind of a criminal act. Now, it's also called a preparatory offense, and it's a lot of states have codified it. Texas has codified some of these crimes as well. Let me see if I have one up here for you to take a look at. Yeah, so in Texas, it's Penal Code Section 15.03, and it basically is, a lot of people just think it's about, encouraging someone to murder someone or do a hit on someone, but that's not really all it is. It's encouraging someone to engage in a crime. It's called solicitation. So do you guys understand so far? It's a specific intent crime. It's not a general intent crime. We'll get into that later on, but You're specifically intending by soliciting someone that they commit a crime. Now let's sort of compare and contrast that with soliciting. Now, soliciting is a door-to-door kind of thing, like, you go out and solicit your services. And it's also, can be a crime, but it's not considered like a major offense. You're out selling your goods or services, like door-to-door salespeople, for example. You're not encouraging someone to commit a crime. You're selling your book or your religion, and you're going door to door and you're saying, hey, would you like to know more about the Church of Jesus Christ or whatever? So that's another form of, and that's just one of many forms. It could be a salesman, whatever, but that's called solicitation. Or soliciting. And that's all. And the name can be changed. I mean, each jurisdiction might have a different way they say it, the way they pronounce it, but ultimately it comes from American common law. And sometimes it's codified, sometimes it's not. In Nevada, like I said, they have like 3 of the big ones, and they're called solicitation. But then you don't find any more codes that talk about solicitation. But if you go to the Nevada statutes on conspiracy, you'll see that conspiracy meets the common law definition of criminal solicitation, because in Nevada, there's no act in furtherance to commit a conspiracy. In under common law, you always had to there had to be an act in furtherance to prove the conspiracy existed. So, there's going to be differences, but hopefully you'll do your own research and you'll see that just because there's not a statute or code doesn't mean that the crime of solicitation doesn't exist. You guys follow me so far, I hope, because now we'll get on to trespass. Hopefully. Give me a bunch of ones if you understand. Ask questions if you don't, because I'm going to move on to the next one. And I'm looking. Looks like I still have sound, which is an amazing thing. And hopefully you guys like this, because I'm not doing, tonight at least, I'm not doing a video where I react and try to get a bunch of likes. I really want you guys to understand the law, because I think that if I can get 30 or 40 super excited people who want to learn the law, we can actually make some serious changes in the world besides just getting a bunch of subscribers, right? Like we can start moving towards pushing for legislation, or maybe even deleting some bad laws, right? Pushing Congress and the Senate to delete laws and start electing people based on the laws that they delete instead of passing a bunch of laws, because we all know that more laws mean less freedom, and we want freedom, right? Give me a bunch of ones if you believe in freedom. And that's what America's all about. If you don't want to be replaced by people from third world countries who know nothing about our country, who aren't even forced to go through a naturalization process, give me a bunch of ones if you think that's wrong. They won't even know about these laws or about their history that I'm teaching you, and they won't care because they're just getting a free check. Now let's get into this. So we know that in Texas we have, solicitation, and then, of course, the big case that everybody was talking about is this Watkins case. And this case is distinguishable on many levels, but you guys can, I already did a video about it. It was an 11th Circuit Court of Appeals case. You guys can take a look at it on your own time. This particular case was so crazy and weird, and the plaintiff really didn't seem like he knew what he was doing. And I think he was pro se or pro per. And just think, if he would have had me first, he might have had a chance. Now, let me just get into. So I don't know if I showed you this, but inchoate crimes are crimes that are simply crimes that take a punishable step towards committing another crime. So a crime that is designed to push another crime or encourage another crime, that's what an inchoate offense is. And now let's get into, make sure my sound is on here because I touched my microphone. Woohoo! So, okay, there's 2 types of trespass, and we'll address it as a crime first because we're talking about crimes and soliciting a crime. And so we know that a lot of people want to sue police for soliciting a crime. They think that, well, somebody went up to a private gas station and they were filming, and they went and called the police, or another person called the police because the guy's filming, like an auditor's filming. And then the police go and they go up to the gas station attendant and say, "Do you want me to write a trespass warning?" Now, a lot of people falsely believe that's soliciting a trespass, but an officer asking a storekeeper on his private property if he wants someone to leave isn't a crime. Okay, it would be a crime if it was a public area and that person had the right to be there filming and protesting or whatever they were doing, and a police officer perhaps asked another person, like an Antifa guy, to say, "Hey, go take your baseball bat and bang those guys up, those Trump supporters or those anti-cop watcher guys with your baseball bat." That would be soliciting a trespass, because the officer would be soliciting the people, the Antifa guys, to trespass against the First Amendment rights of those people. So they're literally having their rights trespassed against because they actually are in a public forum, abiding by time, place, and manner restrictions, et cetera, et cetera. But in the case of a private parking lot, the private property owner would be able to quite readily subject the protester or the auditor to their time, place, and manner restrictions, which are going to be much greater than they would be in a public area. However, you always have to understand that anytime you have a commercial business that's operating, they operate under license. So basically, the government and the public has sort of a lien, for lack of a better word, or a sort of the ability to extend jurisdiction and rights of third parties because you are open for business. And so it's not as easy to kick someone off your property if you're a business owner. You may be subjected to civil rights laws, like in California, you have a different type, like the UNRUH, the UNRUH Civil Rights Act, and you have business and professions code sections that require you to keep your business establishment open or not to discriminate. So there's other issues that come into play where you would have other potential discrimination lawsuits besides just soliciting a trespass. And so I wouldn't go with that. If a cop is asking someone, "Hey, you want me to write this guy a trespass warning?" I don't see that as a soliciting a trespass. I think that is a cop asking a business owner if they want someone to leave. And if the cop warns you and you don't leave, he's got the right to trespass you. And that just means you'd receive a warning and you're not supposed to come back. Now, in Florida, which is where the Watkins case apparently took place, as I recall, I could be totally wrong. But in Florida, we know it's called an easement, by the way. When I said lien earlier, what I meant is there's sort of an easement through these licenses. And a lot of you sovereigns know what I'm talking about when I say easement. And that's why I appreciate talking with you guys, is because a lot of you really do seem to have a handle on some of the terminology, at least. So it makes it a little bit easier to get into these talks. But basically, in Florida, a private cop or a public officer can come on a private parcel of property, like a parking lot, and trespass you. And they're allowed to do that by statute because they have a job of keeping the peace. And if there's a bunch of bums or hooligans in a private parking lot causing trouble, just because they have a camera doesn't mean they're not causing trouble. So in that state, the officers would not be sued for soliciting, could not be capable of being sued for being sued, whether it's trespass, soliciting a trespass, or just false arrest or a false trespass, because they have the right to go ahead and issue the trespass notice. So in this case, a criminal trespass can be a specific intent crime, but it is also a general intent crime. The crime of trespass is committed by the mere act of trespass. So if I was to walk across your lawn, I could be potentially sued for trespass. Now, there is typically an easement recognized for mailmen or people to walk across your lawn, to knock on your door and say hi. But if you live in a concealed area that's gated off with no trespassing signs, then if someone was, even if your door was open and it was known that they did not want, they hopped your fence, for example, and wanted to walk through your front door, that would be the mere act of hopping your fence and touching your grass. That's a trespass. The crime is over right then and there. And that's the same thing with the civil trespass. It's just that the difference is the punishment. In a civil case, you're usually looking at some kind of a damages award, right? Or maybe you might get some kind of a writ issued against the person, a writ of mandate or a writ of prohibition to keep this person off your property. Commonly, they call them stay away orders now, but that's basically what it is. That's potentially one of the repercussions. You can get that civilly or criminally. But in a criminal case, the trespasser could be subject to jail time or criminal fines, penalties. So although the victim might be another person, the state is also deemed to be a victim. And so the fines and penalties would go to the state. Then the property owner, if there was any damage, could seek some kind of an award through the court system as a victim of crime, right? What do they call them? A restitution hearing for that. So I'm just trying to, so now you guys understand, I've explained to you what solicitation is. It's an inchoate crime. It's specific intent crime. And it's the mere act of requesting, acting, or encouraging someone to commit another crime. And the crime is complete as soon as you coach or counsel someone to do it. So if somebody has coached you or counseled you to defame someone online, and then I sue you, now you can file a counterclaim against the person who encouraged you to lie about my reputation and my background and training so they could get some laughs. And then when I sue you, you can make a claim against them. So it's really fun. Now, and that's because they solicited you to commit defamation when they knew everything they were saying about me was a lie. But they did it because they wanted to damage my reputation because they didn't like the client that I represented. Sounds like something the Nazis would have done, doesn't it? Now, in this particular case, just by entering onto someone's land, the trespass is complete. Now, let's put it together like lawyers would do. If you're an attorney and you're representing someone who wants to file a civil rights claim against a cop, and you're someone who had your door kicked down by an ex-girlfriend because the cop said, well, you used to live here, so you have the right to kick the door in, and the woman does that, and then let's say she gets blasted by a shotgun at the front door by her boyfriend as soon as she kicks the door in. And then the police come and they shoot the man. Well, the man's family would be able to sue those cops. And probably the prosecutor could bring a solicitation of trespassing claim against the police because they solicited the ex-girlfriend to kick the door in. And by virtue of the trespass happening, he shoots the girl. So her family could also sue the police, claiming that the police encouraged her to kick in the door. And then, of course, the man who shot the girl, his family would be able to sue the girl's estate as well as the police. And that's basically what soliciting a trespass could potentially be. Now, for people who think that there has to be some kind of a statute or code before soliciting becomes a crime, you just don't know what you're talking about. And soliciting is a crime in pretty much every state. And if it's not registered under the name solicitation, take a look at the other inchoate offenses. You'll probably see that it's been subsumed by another statute, or it's simply a common law crime that is just recognized by the courts. Like, for example, negligence law. You don't need a civil code section defining negligence. And not all states do have them, but I think most do. California, I think, codified negligence, I don't know, back in the 60s or 70s, but before that, it was just based on case law. So, but, a lot of times the legislature, because they want to narrow down laws or they want to tailor them in a different way or a different direction, they'll codify them. And add some things, or maybe even remove some of the common law elements that were required. For example, in Nevada, conspiracy isn't required to have an act in furtherance. So it's outside the normal American common law concept of a conspiracy where you'd have to commit an act in furtherance. So I'm going to look in the sidebar here and see if anybody's got any questions. By the way, hopefully you guys are learning something here, and then tell me if there's anything else when I'm doing these tutorials that you'd like to learn, because I want to keep it so you're not bored. I want to keep people to where that's why sometimes I'll do some narratives, like, some rants about the administrative state, about how they're destroying our country. And then I'll kind of jump back into the law and why I want you to learn the law. So maybe you can get into the administrative state and change it from within, right? Change the Leviathan from within. Let's take a look here. Hey, Big Willie, how's it going? And now some people think that you have to have a trespass sign on your property before somebody can be guilty or can be liable if it's a civil case for a trespass. And that's not true. However, it does help with damages in many jurisdictions, because it shows that clearly the trespasser knew and it was malicious. So it can go towards, like he had a bad or malicious intent, especially if they destroyed property or things like that. Now, there are exceptions to trespass, like private and public necessity, which we can go into in a later episode. But there's so many cool things that I want to teach you guys, but I don't want to bore you to death. And I know some of these live chats, they'll go for like an hour or longer. And it seems like a lot of people start to drop off after about 40 minutes. And I don't want to bore you guys, because I want you to come back. And I always want to have something really cool for you to learn. So tonight, here's what we learned. We learned that solicitation is a specific intent crime. And all it is it's an inchoate crime, which simply means that the mere act of asking someone, it's just merely like a step in furtherance, but not quite. It's almost like an assault where someone reels up to punch you, but they don't do it. So they put you in an apprehension of getting struck, right? Like you're reasonably apprehending that something's going to happen. You don't have to be in fear. You just have to apprehend it might happen. Kind of like this. It's, you're not actually doing the crime. You're just encouraging the crime. But if somebody follows through with it, a separate crime is committed. So the person that you solicited, if they go and commit the trespass, they've committed the crime of trespass. And of course, they've also committed a civil trespass as well that they could be sued for. So the person who had been trespassed against will have two probable causes of action for themselves, one being the criminal justice system acting on their behalf, and the other being the civil court system, where they file a lawsuit. And depending on the type of case, you may not want to file a civil rights lawsuit. I mean, there are some times where you don't want to sue cops for civil rights claims. And there are some times when you might want to sue a private actor for civil rights claim if they were engaged as a state actor involved under the state actor theory, acting as an instrumentality of the government, using color of law and official right. And we see a lot of these non-governmental organizations doing stuff like that, and social media companies doing that too, along with doing stuff like that hand in hand with the FBI and the CIA involved in these illegal spying programs. They keep getting caught. The mainstream media keeps giving them a pass. Nobody even really watches it. Nobody seems to care. They're being spied on illegally. And so one of my jobs is to teach you about your rights and how important privacy is. And so obviously the right of private property is super, super important. It's one of the main ideas behind a constitutional republic and a Republican form of government is individual rights. The concept that you can't respect any minority until you respect the minority of one, the individual. I guess there was a saying, what is a democracy? Two well-fed wolves and a sheep and a lamb showing up for dinner and deciding what's on the menu. And then a republic is the same scenario, but the lamb shows up with a musket or a rifle, right? That's the difference. In a democracy, the mob gets to decide what your rights are. In a republic, you have a constitutional form of government that binds the government with the chains of the Constitution that prevents them from trampling the rights of the individual. And so part of the reason that I love teaching the law of trespass is, and of course, the right of privacy and even defamation and other things like that, is because it segues into your property rights. You have a property interest in your reputation. You have a property interest in your own land. You have a property interest in your intellectual ideas. And I know that I think Thomas Jefferson didn't like that, but I happen to like copyright laws because I think there's so many stupid people out there that it's good that if you are smart, that you should be able to profit from your intelligence. But, you guys tell me what you think. Those are just my opinions. Let me take a look in the sidebar and see what y'all think so far. Tell me if I'm doing a good job or a bad job, guys, so far. Yeah, well, I love that. I love seeing Ralph here again. And Ralph is one of my voting members. He is a real member of Team ELZ, Ehline Delete Laws. And I really invite you guys, Ralph and you other guys, to go into the private area there and muse with me and tell me the stuff you'd like me to talk about. I like to teach things in a way that I can teach a little bit of history, a little bit of politics, but just for fun, just to get some laughs, and then a little bit of the modern law. And I know a lot of you guys don't agree with modern law, and you want to tell me I'm terrible because I'm a member of the bar, which is apparently is some registry. My belief is that it's not. My belief is the bar that you pass when you go, because I'm a legal historian, and I'm going to do a whole show for you, Ralph, and all you other guys about the history of American common law. And I am probably the most astute and well-educated person in the world when it comes to the original founding of the American common law system, and with respect to legal training and the legal training structures, the Inns of Court structures that were instituted after the Knights Templars were kicked out of England. Remember, the Knights Templars housed the original lawyers of London. And I'll get into the whole history of that. And there's so many cool things that I want to share with you guys. And I see I've got 36 people in the chat. And I just think that it's really cool that I know a lot of you guys are sovereigns. A lot of you guys are frauditors. A lot of you guys hate me. A lot of you guys like me. And I don't really care about the detractors. What I care about is that you'll learn something that might help us make America a better place. That's really my goal here, is to make America a better place. And then naturally, I'm teaching my kids how to be entrepreneurs, showing them how to make videos and do creative stuff that people are interested in. So eventually you guys will see my kids in here helping me out, making videos. And my son is a little genius. He's a judoka. He just got his yellow belt. And I'm trying to get him onto the Olympic judo team, and just doing all that cool stuff that dads do. But I feel that part of my job is being a lawyer, being blessed to be one of the few lawyers who has become a lawyer on the California State Bar Law Study Program, that I can share some of these amazing experiences that I've had with you. And it is a real blessing, and I'm able to do this. And if I can make my channel pay for itself for the time that I spend, then that's phenomenal. That's great. So let me just take a look over here really quick. Oh, so yeah, there's a lot of people who don't like chili, and they don't like it that I represent them in out-of-state cases, or that I stand up for him when his rights get violated. And there are plenty of examples of our founding fathers where similar things happened. One of our founding fathers, who ended up becoming a president, represented the Redcoats when they killed a bunch of colonists. And he represented them, and I think he got him acquitted, as I recall. And a lot of people hated him for that. And I know a lot of people can't stand chili. I get it. And I frankly, I don't care if you don't like him. He was falsely arrested in my view, multiple times. And I believe that he's gotten a raw deal. And I think that if you watch the video of both of his arrests, it is clear that they are false arrests. Now, his chances on his appeal, I don't know. I think that if I had been his appellate lawyer, things would have been I don't think he would have needed an appellate lawyer, because I would have been his trial attorney, and I would have started my negotiations right away with the district attorney or the city attorney, trying to get the DAs to reject these filings. And so I have a totally different approach when it comes to law than I would say most lawyers that are out there. I believe in front loading my cases. So that means doing all the work up front, doing discovery, hiring investigators immediately, and building a file to where you have overwhelming superior bargaining power and in negotiating strength. That's what a good lawyer should do. And I didn't see any of that happen here. And I believe that if I had built his case from the beginning, that if it did go south on us, that I would have had a much stronger appeal, because I would have made all the necessary objections on the record. So even if he was to lose, I still believe in Chile, and I believe that these are false arrests. And I have a lot of respect for him for fighting. Now, with respect to all the bad things that people say about him and his past or whatnot, things of that nature, that's not what I'm focused on. What I'm focused on are these particular charges. And because of Chile's immense popularity, love him or hate him, it's brought focus onto a lot of really, really poor, unlawful, and unconstitutional law enforcement practices. Sometimes it's been hit and miss. And that's the nature of the game, because this is sort of a relatively new thing with the cop watchers and the webcams. And now we know about the secret spying program by the U.S. government, where they're trying to label people who do what Chile does as domestic violent extremists, and trying to label anyone who stands up for the Bill of Rights, legal immigration, or the Constitution as crazies. And I just think that that is really, really bad for our country. And we need to learn the law, and we need to get into these agencies and turn this around, because basically they filled these agencies with a bunch of people who hate America, and they're out there trashing people who love America. Give me a bunch of ones if you see that happening, because I don't like it. And I think it's unfair. I don't want my kids to grow up in an environment where the democracy or the mob has the authority to strip my family or my children of their rights. I think that's totally unfair. And hopefully you agree with me, and you'll continue staying with me in the days to come to do these videos. But this is going to be a journey that we're going to take together. I'm going to need input from my audience on the different things you'd like to learn. My suggestion is, we've learned a little bit today about specific intent and general intent crimes. We've learned about solicitation, and we've learned about trespass, and we've seen some examples of how you could solicit a trespass, or of how a trespass could be solicited. And I think, tomorrow we could go over, some other stuff. We could go over tort law. We could go over wrongful death. We could go over how about this, guys? A lot of people don't know this, but under common law, there was no wrongful death law. So if I took out your husband, for example, I couldn't get any you couldn't get anything, couldn't get any money out of me, couldn't sue me. The punishment was a pound of flesh. The damages were deemed to die with the victim. And that was the common law approach. Hopefully you guys write this down, guys. This is really interesting. And this is where I believe that not all is lost by modern law. There are some really great laws, I believe, that are on the books that help prevent society from hurting each other. And this is an example, the wrongful death statutes. Now, wrongful death statutes basically said, no, the damages don't die with the victim. The damages are inherited by the survivors, by the closest surviving family members, and then after that to other ones if there's no one to take, right? Or unless there's a will or some other document that intervenes, right? So there's a lot of interesting things, but in a wrongful death case, basically what it means is if someone is negligently or intentionally killed, that you can sue for wrongful death. Like if a cop kills one of your family members illegally, you can sue. But in the old days, it was like the Hatfields and McCoys. And like a lot of you young people don't know anything about our history. And I feel for you. I really do, because it's really what a rich history. Google the Hatfields and McCoys and look at how this family, yeah, I think even to this day, they call it a blood feud. And that's how it was, guys. Back then, there were blood feuds. And so this modern day wrongful death statute really helped obviate. I mean, not with everyone. There are certain cultures where you kill one of their people and you're dead. That's it. No amount of money is going to stop you from getting your life ended. But generally speaking, in the snowflake like environment that we're in today in America, in particular California, that is a rarity because the wrongful death statute is going to come in there and enable the survivors to receive a damages award. Now, you don't always get paid if the killer didn't have any money or assets. You may not have a case, but if it's a wealthy person, or if it's a FedEx truck that runs you over and they have a $20 million policy, then you're going to get paid. One of my clients, I primarily do motorcycle accidents because I'm involved with the biker community. And, I just really care about those guys, like the motorcycle club guys, that they believe in the Constitution and all that. I just love those guys. Those guys, yeah. So there was one case that I had where a motorcyclist was going up a hill and one of those low boy trucks, like, I don't know, like just about head high, was pulled across the road as he's going up, and there were by virtue of the steepness of the hills, lamps going this way, and then he comes over the crest, and boom, that low boy is right there, and the guy, boom, hits his head, automatic traumatic brain injury, in a coma for months, permanent brain injury, broken neck, back, everything, just wiped out, broken. But because the trucking company was owned by a really wealthy company, we were able to get my client about $10.7 million. And that was a good result. And now we've had other cases where a homeless person gets run over by an illegal alien. And I would have taken the case even though she was homeless, and it wouldn't have been a big damages award because she had a young daughter left behind and didn't have anybody to look after her. But unfortunately, the illegal alien didn't have any insurance. And so there was no way that we could help this woman. So we did a GoFundMe and tried to help out her daughter. And we do stuff like that. I don't want to digress too much, but I guess what I'm telling you guys is that even with all these laws, you're not always going to recover your damages. Now, the damages that you would get in a trespass case could be what are called nominal damages, because, obviously putting your foot across someone's lawn, it probably isn't going to be a big deal. It's what they call nuisance damages or nominal damages. Maybe you get $1. And the same thing could go where you were seriously damaged, but you were one of these auditors that likes to pop off and cuss at the cops. And then the jury, they see all this video and they go, we don't care that this person got their face smashed in. This person was a jerk. So we're only going to award the victim $1. So that's another way they can get you. So the jury can make a significant damages case into a nominal damages case if they don't like your client. And so I always tell my friends and my closest family members that I make all my money off of the cases that I don't take. I make all my money off the cases that I don't take, because early on I learned, because I was just taking every case, that most of them were just junk. They were loser cases, and they were preventing me from feeding my family. And so now I make my money from the cases that I do take. And I also build strong relationships with my clients because they know they can rely on me. Now, if I have millions of cases where I'm representing all these different people, I'll never be available to take their calls or help them. So I do believe in running a tight ship. And when I have serious problems, I bring in someone like an Alan Beck who can act as fire support, and we can make it happen. Why do I tell you this? Because I think that you need to understand that just because you know the law and all this stuff doesn't mean you're going to be a pro at it right off the bat. So you can still come to my channel. You can become a subscribed member as well on the community, and we can arrange private meetings to discuss things if I think I can provide insight. Now, again, don't construe anything that I say as legal advice. I'm not here to try and give you legal advice, but I will give you general information and specific information that I know of that relates to California and Texas. Now, if you need information about another state like Nevada or Vermont for that matter. I have associates in pretty much every state right now who can help answer questions and lead you in the right direction. I built up a pretty good book of business over almost 20 years as a practicing attorney. And before that, as a law clerk and paralegal, and made a lot of connections. And I really like sharing this information with you because you can't take it all with you. I got about an hour to spend with you almost every night the last couple of weeks, and you can't take it all with you. And a lot of the information that I have is information that you won't ever get from anywhere else. Primarily because even if the lawyers that are out there wanted to share it with you, they wouldn't be able to share it in a way that a layman would be able to understand. And that's because I've got a blue collar background, started my life in the construction business and then in health club sales and stuff. So totally different kind of background than most lawyers you'll meet. Just a regular guy who got a law license. And I know about the real issues that affect people out there where a lawyer could come in handy. And so I did a video also the other day, guys, just to try to kill some time. I did a video the other day about what is small claims court and suing in small claims court. Now, it is old, and somebody pointed out after I uploaded it that California has increased its jurisdictional amounts. I think when I did that video, they were like 8,000 or something. Now I think it's like max 12,000. So I'll put something in the description and I'll make a modernized version. But that was an example of what I was telling you about earlier, about how, even if you have a trifold, you want to make sure and check it because laws change. You want to update it. And obviously, with Chile in jail, it's going to be hard for him to update his trifold. And that's why I'd like it if you guys would check out his GoFundMe and try to help him out. We're still trying to help him find someone to represent him in the city case. Right now, I know that his appellate attorney apparently showed up for a hearing, but I think he made a limited appearance. A lot of people incorrectly say special appearance, and you guys can fact check me. But here's another thing I want to share with people, especially sovereigns. Okay, a special appearance is to contest jurisdiction. A general appearance means that you've accepted the court's jurisdiction. Okay, special appearance means contest. A limited appearance is commonly confused with special appearance by courts, by judges, especially in California. But a special appearance is not a limited appearance. And so Orem made a limited appearance from what I understand. And again, that is Nevada. So Nevada is going to be different than California. And since I'm not barred in Nevada, I can't give legal advice or any kind of information that would relate to a Nevada matter. I can only, give you legal advice in a strict sense in the areas where I'm licensed. So if you have any questions in another jurisdiction, I can still try and get you the answer. And obviously, I can retort whatever the black letter law is. I just wouldn't be able to give you an opinion on its application. So again, tonight we learned a little bit about the differences between, trespass and how someone could solicit a trespass. So I'm inviting any of these people who showed up today, because I haven't blocked anyone, and I don't even know if I have moderators in here today, guys. So if anybody has any questions about, how, wants to tell me, oh, you're wrong, there's no way the police could ever solicit a trespass. I really want to see you in the sidebar. I want to debate, because it's easy to cast stones and throw rocks in glass houses and stuff. And the way you can find out if you're in a glass house is if you want to mask yourself and not come out and have a seasoned debate with a real lawyer. Let's go for it. I'd love to have the debate with all of you, intelligent people out there who really think that you know what you're talking about. Let's do it. Yeah, Brick, know your rights, learn the law. That's right. And again, a lot of people are going to disagree as to the validity of a lot of laws. And that's a debate that we can have. I tend to believe that we need to delete laws. I've told you guys this before. I think that one of the great ways that we could help improve society would be to vote for people based upon laws that they promise to get rid of. not by passing more laws. We just have too many. I mean, we just have to change the way we think and have parallel systems where we help each other, but like-minded people help each other. So we're not forced to engage in things that we don't support, just like Martin Luther King did. Now it's our turn. And knowing the law is one of the great ways, because if you guys are out protesting or cop watching and you get arrested, it's going to take me having to go visit you on the weekends, getting, dirty looks from people at the jail, because everybody hates the lawyer who represents the hated guy. And, I do appreciate the people who do support me and who have demonstrated that they recognize what I've done, because I have to take stands when necessary when I see injustice, regardless of who the injustice is being perpetrated against. And that's all I have to say about that. Does anybody have any questions for me? Let's see here. By the way, free country, I've got an S&W 500, and I've got bear loads in that thing, and I swear that thing almost ripped my whole arm off last time I took it out, and I've never shot it again. It was just unbelievable to me. By the way, I got to fix this shadow here. Next time you can see, I've got to look at this. See the shadow, right? It makes me look weird. So I rearranged my office so I could have a better setup. So now I've got all my 3 monitors. It's pretty badass, but the shadows are kind of messed up. Anyway, so what do you guys think? You guys learn anything tonight? Does anybody have anything in particular that they want to know about? I've got about another 10 minutes before I got to split out of here, and I'm going to wrap it for the night. Oh, thanks, Mama Lion. Mama Lion says she loves my channel. I was even thinking of maybe just like putting a camera like up on like up high, and then just hear me out and tell me if you think this is a good idea. So there's this trucker, and he calls himself like the hero trucker, and all he does is just film pretty much live streams all day, I think, of him trucking. And then occasionally he'll talk about how great he is to his wife and kids and how they love him. Then occasionally someone will type and say, "You're not a hero, you're just a trucker." And he'll be like, "Well, screw you. My wife thinks I'm a hero." And that's like his whole shtick. And the guy's got like 30,000 subscribers or something. And he has these videos where he like electrocutes people, like illegals that jump into his trailer. He has like, battery cables. It's hilarious though. Anyways, I was thinking, not that he does that. Look, I don't condone him that he hurts anyone. It is illegal what he does, but it's just hilarious. The guy's what he does, which is filming himself driving his truck, and that's it. So I was thinking maybe I'll film myself working, right? Like, and I'll just look up at the camera sometime and go, "Hey guys, I'm a hero," right? And just to see, who knows, maybe I'll get like in the front page of the newspaper or something. All right, so we'll just really quick here. What's going on over here? Scroll up here. Okay, I'm going to go up really quick for Truth of God. Truth of God's got a question. Truth of God says cool beans. Okay, I don't know if that's a question. I'm going to keep going. Still looking. We have the Discord channel. Okay, Truth of God has a Discord channel. I can't find your question, Truth, but I like the name Truth. And we'll just do a really quick review before we bone out of here, unless you guys have questions for me. I mean, solicitation, we kind of know what that is, right? You guys all know what solicitation, right? It's a crime in and of itself, and it's a crime of trying to convince someone else to commit another crime. That's all it really is. And so you guys now all understand that it is possible for a police officer to solicit a trespass. You get it now? Like, trespass is a crime. If a cop can convince someone to trespass on your property or against you, that could be deemed soliciting a trespass. That's all that is. And there might be other charges too besides that, or other civil rights claims you could allege. And it might be called something else, but essentially that's what it is. And there's no sense in trying to beat it up. It's not that big of a deal. But I just had to get it out there so you guys could finally understand the nuances. And I'm hoping that you get it. There's two crimes here. There's soliciting, and then there's trespass. Soliciting's the crime is complete as soon as you do the encouraging. That's it. It's over. The person who encouraged you could leave. He's guilty. The cops are going to get him. And then if you carry out the act, well, that's another crime called trespassing. But the other guy, he can still be convicted of soliciting a trespass, even if you never trespassed. Okay. And that's why I like to break up these videos where I kind of go off onto Wonderland stuff and then come back into the law, because I think it helps me feed it to you in a way that you'll remember it instead of just like a lecture, because I think lectures are really boring. My best professors, people that have taught me, were people that did that. So hopefully you get the idea now, right? So you can still, no matter what, the person who tries to convince you to break the law, that person is guilty of soliciting you to break that law. But if they're convicted, right, by a jury of their peers, or in Nevada, I guess by a judge, right? And that's it. That's over. But then if you don't commit that crime, whether it's trespass, whether it's stealing something, theft, soliciting a grand theft auto, it could be, right? If you don't do it, then you are not guilty of any of it. Now, it could be that if you engaged in an act in furtherance, like if you took steps towards committing that theft or trespass, then there might be a conspiracy, right? There might be a criminal conspiracy between the two of you to engage in a trespass. Now, hopefully that makes sense. I'm hoping that you guys are getting this. Give me a bunch of ones if you guys get this. And I'm going to bounce out of here in a couple of minutes, unless you guys want me to stay on for anything else. What does Diesel say? Diesel, where's Diesel? Yeah, thanks, Mama Lion. I love you guys coming and joining me. It's super cool. Super cool. So you guys get it. Okay, cool. And then, tomorrow, I guess, maybe I'll talk about like the common law history of wrongful death and how it came about. But I think I pretty much explained everything you needed to know in a nutshell earlier in the video. So that's a little gem, right? Like the Hatfields and McCoys, those wrongful death laws were supposed to stop that kind of stuff. Because now instead of you going ahead and killing someone, now you can sue them. I mean, what good is someone to you dead if they've got to pay off a judgment, right? You want to keep them alive. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you want me to do reaction videos like where the police falsely arrest someone and we break it down like Chili used to do? I mean, I kind of want to know what my audience is looking for. Rick Jonesy said that you got to give them what they want. And I'll do that. I just want to do it in a way that I'm explaining some legal principles instead of just like entertainment value. Like, I want to like, okay, what happened here? They could argue this law, right? Like this is a learning moment. If I can do something like that where it's going to be beneficial, because that actually helps me too when I do my legal work, when I'm trying to figure out case law or how to apply something to a brief. I remember these different fact patterns and explaining something. It really does help. Really does help. Yeah. Okay. So reaction video. So if you guys want, oh yeah, I checked out Ralph Riley's videos. I thought they were pretty cool. You should check them out. I did like them, and I will reach out. Maybe we'll do a reaction video on Ralph Riley's stuff. Truth of God likes to learn about civil rights, and I do want to teach you about civil rights, but you also have to know basic law. Like you got to know what criminal law is. You got to know what civil law is, and you should know tort law for sure. So I would say in contract law is important. So I would say you want to know at least your first year courses, contracts towards criminal law. Super important. And then once we get that down, a basic knowledge of contracts, torts, and criminal law, then we can move you into really getting a handle on civil rights law. And then you'll be better trained than any paralegal, that's for sure, at least on these basic things. And probably in a position to where you could try to sit for the baby bar out in California. Obviously, you'd still have to find supervising attorneys and all that, but the idea is that you just need to get that basic training and knowledge. And even if you don't want to become a lawyer, it doesn't matter because you're armed with that knowledge. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't agree with a lot of the laws that we have, but this is what we're governed under, and this is the system that we live in. So you have to learn how to use the law in such a way to get the rights that you're after the best that you can. Unfortunately, we can't get everything that we want. And we have to just do our best to do our best job for our client. And you have to do just the best job for your family, right? Same situation. So we could learn contracts, torts, and criminal law, and then get a much better handle and understanding on civil rights law. And but as we're doing this, we'll use examples and explanations about civil rights. So guys, if you want, send me video or links, stuff that's like independent, not stuff that's on the regular news, because I'll get copyrighted and they'll throw me off of YouTube probably, but just, cool stuff or stuff that you made yourself. And I'll start doing reaction videos. And it doesn't necessarily have to be police stuff. I mean, it could be, like a bad judge. It could be a video, undercover video of something. And we could just, we could do attorney reaction videos. Was this person in violation of this particular law on this particular, occasion, or blah, 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 and break it down and talk about it. I mean, I know I've seen some of these attorneys breaking down these videos where they've actually gotten police departments to have investigations, and officers have had to retire. Like that one where that girl got thrown out of her car and thrown face down, that civil rights lawyer guy. I guess the news media picked up on his viral YouTube video and they got that cop fired. So I'm a proponent, if you think that that's going to help us get the word out and let people see what's going on. And of course, for me, the idea is we expose not just that they're bad police, but that the laws and the way that they're enforced, that's a top-down issue. And it's the politicians and it's the lawmakers, and that we need to delete laws instead of passing more laws. And we need to enforce the laws that are on the books. And a lot of different things need to be happening that aren't. And a lot of people believe that as well. So, I'll be looking out for in the comments if you guys have links for reaction videos. But at least tonight, the 30 or so people that came in here got an opportunity to learn about solicitation, specific intent crimes, et cetera, et cetera. So if you guys have any questions, put them in the comments down there, and make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save. And I'm going to bounce out of here and save it because we want to make sure the thought police don't take down this channel. All right, bye, guys.